Hello everyone. So right now I have two glasses of water in front of me. One is where I'll get my clean water from, and the other is where I'll clean my brush. I have my triangle brush, I have my watercolor paper, I have my palette, and I have the 12 color gouache. Checking if it is clean, I just dab it in the tissue to make sure that it has no color. Next, I pulled out the Prussian blue. We're going to use it for basic brush strokes that we could do with the brush. So once you have placed a little amount of pigment, put water. I'm just getting water from the glass and then checking if it's flowing. So it has to flow a little bit, okay? It's okay that if it beads up, eventually it will just stop beading, okay? So if you don't want beading on your palette, you can use ceramic plates, but since this one is plastic, that should be fine. It will work well. So now I hold the brush like this. Let's use a triangle brush. The tip is facing downward, so I make sure that the tip is always straight. I have loaded my brush and I am creating the thinnest stroke that I can do with a brush. I'll make another thin stroke, and then next I am going to put pressure on the brush. So here I am placing a little bit of pressure. Here, more pressure. So here you will see the water level that you have. So get more water, get more pigment. I am pushing way downward so that I can do that stroke. Now I am making the brush parallel to my paper so that I can get that broad stroke. So at that point, I run out of water already. Okay, so next I add more water to my palette. I am creating a thin. I'm going to turn sideways and put a lot of pressure and then slowly lift the brush. You can do it slowly. Do it again. Thin, thick, thin. So you start with no pressure. Press it sideways with a lot of pressure on the brush and then slowly release it. The difficulty of most of my students would be in releasing the brush. They have no problem with the thin stroke at the start. They have no problem with pushing down. The main problem is when they're going to release it. So that is one crucial stroke that you would have to learn using this brush. So if you're doing calligraphy, this should be easy with you. It's a good practice for brush calligraphy because you do a thin, thick, thin stroke. Okay, so now I'm adding more water to our palette. I need to make it move. We are going to use the back of the brush to stipple. So if you look at the brush, it's a bit crooked, but that's fine. Yours is not. Mine is a bit crooked because I use it a lot. So I use the tip of the brush, the very pointy one. I'm just fixing it there. So I fix the crookedness of the brush by putting water, and then we are going to stipple. Okay, so get pigment, stipple, just create dots on the watercolor paper. Okay, create thin strokes, this time in different directions. You can pull downwards, you can pull sidewards, so you may choose any direction that you prefer. Normally we do thin and thick strokes. I mean thin strokes and stippling for the center of the flower. So it's a filament of the flower. It's normally located at the center of your flowers. Okay, so next we're going to try to double load. Okay, so double or triple load. In this case, bring out your Viridian green, put it in your palette. You may also use your chrome yellow so that we have another color for the leaf. So I'm just cleaning my brush. Okay, so let's clean the brush. Make sure it's clean. I'm dabbing it in the tissue. I am getting green So there, water. Then after getting that, I load it to 3/4 of the brush. So if you can see, it's loaded. There's green paint up to 3/4 of the brush, but not reaching the ferrule of the brush, because once you reach the ferrule, it would sip into the wood. Here I dipped into the blue, so that's green with the blue at the tip. See, that's what you call double loading. So my brush is loaded with 2 colors. Okay, so you can also do 3 colors. So here you see 3/4 of the way, that's green, and then the thing that when we dip it in the blue color or in the blue pigment, we created 2-tone already. So you have your like mid-tone and your shadow. So if you want one more to have a highlight, a mid-tone and a shadow, you can put yellow. So in this case, yellow, or in this case it's lemon yellow. Lemon yellow, 3/4 of the brush, and then halfway would be your green, and then at the tip will be your blue. Okay, so blend them together. Look at what they can do. So if I move the bottle so that you can see it in the frame. So here you have your yellow, your green, and your blue. I did it 3 times so that you can feel the white spaces, since this is watercolor paper and I'm using the rough side of the paper, hence some white marks will appear. I'm going to load again. I clean the brush and I'm going to load again with yellow. Then halfway through I'm going to dip it in green, and at the tip will be the blue. Okay, so I did that, and here's the result. Okay, since my yellow is already loaded with green, I lost the yellow. So you have to make sure that your brush is really clean so that you can achieve the first one that we did. You have a yellow, a green, and a blue. So you can create these leaves with multicolored. So this will be our exercise for the entire week. I want to see your work, and hopefully you take a photo and upload it in the Google Classroom. That way I can help you more.